Hello, we're live. Andy, yeah, I see you've come straight from Mike's to my live stream. It's pretty exciting today, straight from one to the other, and it was really awesome to see Mike working right now. It's fascinating. It's such a different approach. The whole Loomis head thing was something I kind of distanced myself from for a while, but I'm going to do Mike's class, and I'm really excited to join and to get into those foundational things and see how I kind of reach out from there again. So yeah, see there are a few people here. That's awesome. Hi Stina. Did a lovely drawing session with Stina last week. That was fun. Mike's here. Awesome. Nikira, Hilda, Beata, Charlotte, Ensim. Wonderful. So nice to have you here. Hashtag Sketchy Sunday. That's so cool that there's so much art and learning and creating together available now through Sketchy, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Mike and France's work have both been totally inspirational for me since I've joined the Sketchy community, so it's nice to be here, yeah, sharing with them and sharing with you all. Yeah, yeah. It's thanks, Mike. That's. I think it's going to be such a nice contrast. Um, this really structured, kind of analytical approach, and it was just so interesting watching the way you were drawing now, and seeing that the underlying framework, and then how you're building onto it. And it's so fascinating. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to yours. And as Mike just mentioned, there's a special offer at the moment this weekend. If you sign up for 2 classes, you get 40% off. So maybe mine and Mark's Ink Naturally, and the Mike's awesome class. And the code is SAS40. So you can get 2 classes from the entire range of the wonderful smorgasbord of sketchy art classes. So that's going to be really cool. Charlotte, I think you're asking about Tuesday night. We can talk about that later. We can communicate on Instagram, and everyone feel free to. I'm fairly active on Instagram, so feel free to write to me there. We have nice to meet you too, Kieran. Wonderful that you're all here, and I'm really looking forward to drawing today, and I think it's going to be a really nice contrast to the portrait that Mike just did, because it's a bit zoomed out and we've got a hand in there. It's and it's an interesting composition, and the subject matter is something that I think is very special. And I just got back from the coast and I was foraging and got these awesome dark rose hips, which I've made some ink with. And so I chopped these up, cooked them up, took the seeds out, and have a really nice dark red ink. So you can see that swishing around a bit. It has a nice dark red color. And some pens made from elder branches that I used, that I found at the beach. And I haven't made a pen from this one yet, but it's just such an awesome branch. So I don't know, it'd be kind of a crazy giant pen, but it's an exciting stick. So I look forward to making a pen with that. Today I'll work with this one, which has a really broad calligraphy style nib, which I just adore working with. And I'd like to introduce you to our muse. Here we go. Here's Janelle. And I think this is, such a special photo which really spoke to me. She's holding up the High Priestess card from Tarot. And I'll talk a bit more about that as I go on, and just thought this was a lovely picture to work from. And I have a few words here from Janelle, which I'd like to share with you all. So she says, I've been taking self-portraits since I was 15. When it comes to art, I feel as if all paths are my path. I also do tarot readings and just happened to pull that card that day and wanted to try and recreate it. I feel the most connected to the Fool card. I always feel honoured when someone is inspired by my pictures. I hope that when other artists see my photos or use them for their own art, that they feel a sense of wonder, and it opens up a sense of creativity that is new to them. So that's lovely. If people here from the Sketchy app, you may recognize Janelle. She's a very prolific muse and has shared an abundance of inspiring photos with us to draw from. So it's really nice to be here with Janelle today. And I'll switch over here. I have this card is the High Priestess card, and it's from a deck of cards which totally inspired me on my artistic path from Stephanie Law, and it's called the Shadowscapes Tarot Deck, and it's a beautiful series of 78 watercolor paintings for the entire tarot deck, and there's something that really inspired me when I kind of restarted my artistic journey about 10 years ago. So it's a special card and a special reference. I have cropped it a bit, so you can get the reference photo below the video here, the stream of video if you're watching later, and draw along. I'd really love to see what you're all going to create. Yeah, so we'll get to it. I have my reference off to the side, and I'm going to focus on the hand, the face, and there's this wonderful crescent moon shape. I'm not sure how I'll tackle that yet, but we'll see how we go. And I just love working from black and white photos, especially working with ink. It's just super simplified, and I also enjoy working from colored photos, but this is really nice, reduced, cool way to work. So I have a couple of other pens here. This one's a bit smaller, which I used, I think, when I was drawing France. Nice to see you here, France. And yeah, I generally don't work with preliminary drawings, and I just kind of start drawing. So let's start drawing together. Open my ink. And so I just made this ink today. It's totally fresh. And I would have loved to have made some pomegranate ink, because in some tarot decks there's a pomegranate in the High Priestess card. So that would have been a nice little element to combine. But these little rose hips also look a lot like pomegranate. Feel free to ask questions as we go. I noticed there was a technical one about the beetroot ink, but I'll come back to questions later. I'll look at things, because the beetroot is not totally specific to this now. But yeah, you can use the skin of the beetroot, you can use the whole beetroot, just grate it and use it. It's awesome. Jacob is here, awesome. No, Janelle, who is Jacob, is here, so it's really lovely having you here. I'm excited that you're here to watch, and thank you so much for sharing your amazing photos with us. They're just incredible. So thank you for being here. It's very, very exciting. And thank you for drawing the High Priestess card on the day you took these photos, because it's, yeah, I'm super inspired by it. So let's do it. I'm a bit excited. I was just watching Mike's class before that, eating with the kids. I have some bits of leaves and stuff, lichen and plant matter. I'm going to start with the card, since that was the thing that really captivated me about this and got my attention. I haven't experimented with this ink yet, so it has no binder, and I'm not really sure how it's going to behave. But I love this thing in the April 30 Faces 30 Days that Mike said about working within constraints, and something I've found a lot, which has been interesting, sometimes uncomfortable, is to create ink or create tools from nature, and then they don't behave the way I'm used to, and then still to find a way how I can draw something and kind of get comfortable or start adapting and kind of pushing my boundaries and maybe discover something new, a new approach that I enjoy working with. So this was something in the Ink Naturally class a lot of people kind of had challenge with is watery ink when you're making your own inks. And this is a bit watery too. You can add binder. Gum arabic is the most common one. And that will give it a pleasant viscosity. But it also works like straight from the plant like this, so it's fine. Here I'm just kind of, I've got this really interesting shape, the hand and the card, which like the card just has this amazing contrast against the black garment, and I'll just kind of blend out that crescent moon thing that's happening there. And just starting with the overall shape, and there's really interesting negative space between the index finger and the card here. And sometimes it's fun just to see with just these really loose shapes, how much of the form can already be kind of implied and understood in a minimal kind of representation. So I just think it's so cool. You should check out Janelle's Instagram account, because I had seen so much work inspired by her on Sketchy for years. And I think I've already drawn you a couple of times, Janelle, from different challenges. I think in January, 30 Faces, 30 Days. And then I saw this amazing installation that Janelle did where she sat in a glass storefront maybe, or like a little glass space, and wearing incredible costumes and doing like silent tarot readings for the people who would walk past. And just yeah, I just thought that was so fascinating, so amazing, and really cool to see. Such a cool idea. So do many people here have much experience with tarot cards at all, or any kind of resonance or interest in it in the chat? Because as I mentioned, this Shadowscape Tarot series from Stephanie Law was something that really totally inspired me to kind of get serious on my artistic path. So yeah, and there's been lots of amazing things along the way. But we got this deck of cards about 4 years ago when our second son was born, and it's just quite amazing. Each card is kind of like a mirror, and the major arcana, these different archetypes. It's just a fascinating story, and so many stories that can be told through these cards, which are hundreds and hundreds of years old. It's quite amazing. I'm noticing some kind of mistakes that I made in the hand and stuff here, but that's all right. I'll just keep drawing and see what happens. It's okay to make mistakes, but I also like to catch them and try and avoid them in future. But that's all right. So something I really enjoy with these calligraphy pens is just kind of the line variation that you get from a broad edge, and can achieve so many different shapes and line quality just with one drawing tool. And even if it's not made from stick, I have a bunch of like metal nibs and fountain pens, and it's just a drawing tool that I've really come to enjoy and use a lot. Yeah, so it's interesting now that it's kind of zoomed out, and can just kind of imply some little details here. Doesn't have to be ultra fine on the card, and it's just good to start with these kind of general shapes. Well, this is what I'm going to do today, and then maybe come back to it and see how we can create more definition, and just see how we go. Sometimes it's good to let things dry with these inks, and you can return once things have dried a bit and add some more details or another layer, and depending on what kind of approach we're working with. I'm almost ready to expand out from this point now. There have been so many incredible tarot decks. There's like some key ones, really historical tarot decks, but there's just so many that have been made, and I just think it's such an epic artistic undertaking to create these 78 works of art, and each one is so loaded with symbolism and meaning, and becomes something which totally is like infinitely open to interpretation from the person who's experiencing, viewing, and using the artwork. And yeah, it's kind of like art to be used, which is interesting. It has this functionality. For a while, Kira and I would draw a daily card each, just to see like, okay, what's the card for the day? And sometimes it's like spot on. They just all have a different kind of significance and meaning and symbolism. It's so interesting, and it's just such a journey. And so now I'm just kind of stepped up from here, take a jump, kind of looking at the space between the card and the neckline, and start moving up. I'll just see if anyone answered my question. Dawn K is planning to create a deck. Respect. As I just said, it's an epic undertaking, and I'm super curious to see what your interpretations would be. So that was a little quote from Dawn K. 78 paintings, and the major arcana is so it's like the smaller part, but yeah, it's such a broad thing to get into. This is super interesting. So it can start just looking at the cards, looking at the art. How do you feel with it? And it's so cool. BB started writing a book about a tarot reader who channels cats to solve a murder mystery, and that's cool because the next thing in the chat is Ray, who has a cat, who owns several decks and is intrigued by archetypal narratives. The archetypes, it's so fascinating. Lydia, so it's okay to be late. Yeah, welcome. It's nice to have you here. Cool. Oh yeah, Dawn. I imagine it takes a lot of planning. I can totally understand. It's huge, huge. So I host these weekly drawing sessions on Tuesdays, which are super fun. 2 hours of drawing each other. And before lockdown started, I hosted these events in real life and was lining up some cool kind of special things to do, like drawing a tuba player while he played the tuba for us and we draw. We went to the theatre together and we're drawing together. And now we can't go out and go to concerts and do these things while we draw. But I thought it would be amazing. And I asked Janelle if she would like to come and be with us for our drawing sessions. And I'm not totally sure yet what form it will take. Because usually do a lot of quick poses, but Janelle is just such a wonderful muse. It'd be really nice to have you join us, and be super interesting to integrate some tarot and archetypal elements into our drawing sessions. It'd be so cool. So keep your senses open for news of that happening, because I think that will be totally cool. So here, this is the way I look at things. Is like kind of, it's always reducing things to abstract shapes, and that's really kind of pleasant here that we've with these, it's like super high contrast. You can use those abstract shapes to get your orientation and kind of simplify, like have this kind of understanding of what you're looking at, which is really simplified, just looking at shapes and the way shapes interact, which is such a different approach to doing the Loomis head, which Mike was showing us. But having that kind of like the Loomis head, or really clear understanding of anatomy, super interesting, because once you have that understanding, you can, it's like the foundation which you can expand from and do something really different. But I really enjoy this approach of just looking at shapes and the way they interact. And if you look well, and it's all about learning to see, then by placing the shapes in the right place as you're working, sometimes it'll end up looking like the thing that you're trying to draw, which is always fun. So with a person, that could be getting the likeness, or with other objects. It's just I found it really a relief to start drawing like that and not get so hung up on, like, it's nice to get a likeness, but just by drawing and looking at shapes and loosening up in that kind of sense, it's an interesting way to then potentially end up getting results which are satisfying and maybe getting a likeness out of it. So a lot of practice, but a lot of fun. So it's interesting here to kind of work around the face. So maybe, go around with the negative shapes thing. This is a fun approach. Or maybe looking at the dark shape which we have, which is making this really nice border on this side of the face. Oops, I wanted to keep this little highlight in the hair and just totally filled it in, but that one. Just roll with it. So Janelle can't wait. I'm not sure how the lag is with the comments that I'm seeing, what I'm saying when you're experiencing it and when your comments are coming back to me, but that's okay. Janelle can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, it'd be so cool. Yeah, and that's super interesting that Mike says he couldn't agree more about that structure and then coming away from that. Because I thought it was really interesting to see that you were offering this Loomis head course after seeing or being together with you. We were both featured artists in 30 Faces, 30 Days in April. And you had this really loose approach where you're just like hatching your way around the face. And that was such an enjoyable way to draw. And it's so different to that structural thing. So I just, love that sense of focus on structure and expansion. And I'm excited to come back to the structure part and see what happens after that. Earth Ange 13. I am using Hahnemühle Aquarelle Anniversary Edition watercolor paper. It is 425 GSM, 200-pound cold press paper, and it's such a heavy paper. I love working with it with a lot of ink because it retains its shape really well. When it gets really wet, it will buckle, but as it dries, it always becomes flat again. It's amazing, and you can get like a block of it. It's fairly affordable as well compared to other watercolor papers. And this was a block of 50 sheets, and being on a block, it kind of it holds itself together, so it retains its form really well. I love this paper. I don't know why it's anniversary edition. I hope they keep making it. If not, I'll just have to do something else. I haven't gotten into paper making yet. I love making art supplies, but I'm a bit intimidated by the idea of trying to make my own paper, which can really handle wet media. If anyone has any experience or tips with that, then I'd love to hear from you. Because I started making my own inks. I had been spending a lot of time working with oil, and sometimes I would get itchy lungs and headaches, and then there would be all these aluminium tubes and poisonous heavy metals and stuff in the paints. And I was thinking, oh, I don't want to poison myself or my surroundings out of the desire to create art, something to try and create a thing of beauty, to create, toxic waste, and poison myself. So I started looking into more waste-free way to make art. And I had a friend who I'd met traveling, and she had been to a botanical dyes workshop, and asked her and started getting into this stuff. And what I really enjoy about it is really connecting to your materials and understanding where they come from. I've got these rose hips, and then I made ink with them, and now I know where I picked them. I was on holiday, I picked them with my kids, and I've made this ink, which is now becoming part of this portrait that I'm drawing, and the whole story. Before I've even put pen to paper, the art supplies already have a story which I'm aware of, and it's like an extra layer of storytelling which is not apparent to anyone apart from me. But for me, it's a really enjoyable part of the process to know what it is I'm working with, and to know where it came from, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And this is also fun, working around the face. It's just like this this space waiting for a portrait. And we're already halfway in. We've still got plenty of time for a portrait, and it's reduced in size. It'll be interesting. And got some lovely folds in the fabric up here, France, if you're still here. This reference has some really nice fold stuff going on. Maybe, who was here yesterday in France's class? She just really had this amazing reference photo, also black and white. Someone wearing a face mask, and it had really lovely folds. So it was a lot about a nice little fold tutorial. So here's some more lovely fabric. And fabric is very rewarding to draw, I think, especially something like this where it's not hung on the anatomy. It doesn't matter if you get the likeness wrong of the scarf. just going to read up on. Nikira couldn't find my paper in the US. That's disappointing. Yeah, expensive delivery. That's maybe there's some other alternative in the States. There's a process of totally saturating, like soaking your paper and then taping it down, and it stretches it like a drum skin, like a taut canvas. And that's also a really satisfying way to work with wet media. But it's so much preparation that goes into making it. Cool. Stina has a cool recommendation. Try that cotton paper. Good for wet media. I'm just reading at the moment, so I'm not drawing or saying anything. Sheila's comments, pretty funny. I'm not sure I totally understand it. 3 versions of Dylan's class on at the same time. France portrait at the same time playing in the background. Sounds amazing, Sheila. Someone just hit a like. You can all hit the like button if you like, if you're enjoying this, and that's always nice. Yeah, so this is interesting. Yeah, the texture of the paper is really nice. It's also really nice to work with smooth paper sometimes. I find that with ink can be really awesome too. This one has a lovely texture. All of the stuff I did my 30 days drawings with, my pen drawings, which just ended, and July was awesome. So many 30 faces, 30 days things. That was on Hanemüller, same brand, Nostalgie, like nostalgia paper. And that's 90 GSM, I think, or 190. And that's really smooth and also really nice to work on. So you can try it out. Different surfaces. I just like this one because it retains its shape when it gets really wet. If it was smooth, I'd use it too. But yeah, it's nice to experience different surfaces. Cool, Erin. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and it's so nice to work with natural materials. So it's such an honor for me to be able to be here with the help of Sketchy to share this natural art supply love I have with the world, because it's a really nice way to connect to the place I live in, to make zero waste art, basically. And it's so nice to share. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, so Sheila's hearing my voice 3 times. Whoa. I hope that's okay. But there's no weird. I don't know. If it's synchronized, that'd be good. If there's like some weird thing happening, it sounds kind of weird. All right, I'll keep drawing now. Who else is actually drawing along? And thanks for those likes. We jumped up from like 7 likes to 19. That was amazing. Thank you. I think I made this hand too small. Oh well. Just kind of, it's fine. Setting up this shape here, and now I've been pretty careful with this stuff. Now I can just kind of put some ink around. Got this awesome scarf up here, and since we have 26 minutes left, we could really get into this. See what I can do in this time. I find it so fascinating. In my Tuesday night, or our Tuesday night drawing sessions, usually the maximum time we have for a portrait is 6 minutes. And it goes from 30 seconds up to 6 minutes. And in that space of time, like 2 hours, 27 portraits or something. And it's just so good to get into the flow. And it's really interesting to notice when I have more time, how I sometimes get a lot less done with more time. It's fascinating. Of course, it's different being here with you and talking to you, and it's a very different experience. It's lovely to have you all here. And it'd be lovely if you came on Tuesday too, because then we can see each other and draw each other face to face. It's so much fun. Here is a very epic looking book. You still here, Janelle? Is anything you would like to say about the High Priestess? There are many things to be discovered. I'm very tempted now to put down a lot of ink, but then I'm sure I'm going to smush it across her face as I'm drawing. So maybe I'll do the portrait now. Maybe there's more folds up here. Build the suspension. The suspension? Is that right? Suspense. Build the suspense. What's going to happen with the face? Is it going to look like Janelle? See if I can do the portrait in 6 minutes. Put some more. Paper towel is cool if you put down more ink than you want to. There's a nice recommendation from Patrick. Love Tuesday nights. I love Tuesday nights too. It might be Tuesday afternoon or morning, depending where you are in the world. For us, it's Tuesday night. Dennis has gone crazy making his own inks. Cool. There will be a follow-up. Focusing more on the ink creation and the drawing. That's interesting. If you have specific questions, let me know, because we're planning a follow-up in November. So if there are specific things you would like to know, and this goes out to all of you, then get in touch and I'll see how maybe I can incorporate it into the follow-up Ink Naturally class. And I'm glad you've been experimenting so much. It's cool. Okay, Janelle says the key words of the High Priestess are faith, knowledge, and patience. That's lovely. All right. There's some more. Sanctuary, purity, solitude, silence, study. All right. And here comes the face. Well, I'm kind of leaning in to the picture. I'll try and stay back here, or off to the side. Another cool thing Mike said was in his live stream was about internalizing all this anatomical understanding and just being able to draw with confidence and be able to improvise and stuff. And on one of my last 30 Faces, 30 Days drawings, I'd had this totally beginner mistake where I had like this perspective and the eyes. It was not the final inspiration, but it was the last one I did. I had the eyes like way off. I was like, whoa. I didn't internalize that. It's nice to have these moments where you realize you need to focus a bit and keep learning. So I'm happy to keep learning with Mike. It's going to be so cool. If you pull the High Priestess, it represents gestation, the hatching of an idea, a work of art, etc. Cool. So the eyebrows seemed like a good place to jump into the face. I see some of it's kind of a bit distorted in the way I've drawn it. But I kind of had the negative space, the outline. I just noticed that was a bit short, but it just gave me these points from like the hair on both sides of the face where I could kind of come in with the eyebrows. So that's what I did. And as I'm going, I'm seeing all these things that are like a bit off and stuff. But I often found, for me, I found that this approach of just going into it without a preliminary drawing, that there was a kind of life to my drawings, which when I really planned and did a lot of structural stuff or preliminary drawing, like I feel like I would get kind of stuck in it, and sometimes there wasn't as much, it wasn't as dynamic, not as much life as in these things where sometimes some things are a little bit off, and it was great to learn that it's okay for things to be off, because I had a hard time with it for a while. This kind of expectations from yourself, and I still have expectations from myself sometimes, but it's nice to just relax into it and totally accept. And that's the great thing about ink, I think, as well. Once you make mistakes, you've made them. You just got to keep going. And in that sense, it frees up that energy and focus on when you go back and you're erased and you want to change something, to just go for it. And you can do that with pencil. You can do that with any medium. But ink is a great way to learn that way of just kind of putting down your marks and going with it. That's it. That quote. It just teaches so much. It's such a good way to get into it. You can use hatching if you like to. And that was something cool Franz said about how hatching is about control yesterday. And this is a very different way. There's still a lot of control, and there's all the years and all the effort we put into learning how to draw, and then being able to let go of that control once you've made a mistake and just going with it. I find that very liberating way to draw. Did I? Okay, there's a technical ink making question. You can use alcohol. Alcohol is super effective at preserving inks. I like to do it as like self-made as I can, although I guess I don't have my own clove plants growing in the garden, but I use whole cloves. Like you can get it from the supermarket, or you can use clove oil. But alcohol is like rubbing alcohol, pure, almost pure alcohol is really effective at preserving inks. Because I have I think a really old jar of walnut stain, which I used alcohol with, and I think it's 13 years old and it's still fine. And sometimes I've had walnut ink, which I didn't put any preservatives in, and after a month it was pretty funky. So there's this cool challenge, I guess, to spot the angle like of the nose here and where it's dropping down to the outside of the nose, how it is in relation to the eye, and finding a point like the outside edge of the nose is almost lining up with the iris of the eye. So I can just drop down from here and I see there's this line like this. And the more we draw these things, the more you start to notice, and the more accurate you can maybe get at mimicking a line. And then I can be like, okay, that's here, and it's kind of this angle, which is going to have me end up about here. And then, so this is the kind of, ideally, this is the process I'm going through a lot as I'm drawing. To line things up and make marks, and that's how you can kind of help yourself put marks in the right place. There's a lot more ink on there than I wanted there to be, but that's all right. So that's interesting working with these stick pens. With any nib pen, like if you're overloaded with ink, that can be pretty hazardous. So it's good to get to know these ink drawing tools and how they hold the ink. These lips are awesome. I think almost coming down a bit too far down the face that I have drawn, but that's fine. They're just such a lovely dark shape. So yeah, I'm losing a bit of likeness here. I can see the chin squishing up a bit. It's all kind of dropped down, but it's okay. And it's funny, these little things, like in the measurement and stuff, how it can create a new person. So here's a new high priestess. To me, it doesn't really look a lot like Janelle anymore. They've just channeled a new high priestess. I still also do preliminary drawings sometimes. Like if I have a commission and I really want to get the likeness spot on. So it's a totally valid thing to do. But it's fun just to do it like this sometimes. Some interesting comments here about hatching. Okay. I'm tempted to use a brush now to just fill in some areas. This could be a lot more contrasty, but I'm going to wait for it to dry and then I can add another layer. So working with layers, I've still got things packed from the holiday. So here are the tools I took with me to the beach. I didn't use all of them, but it was nice to have them with me. This looks relatively clean. Yeah, cool. So now I'll lay down some of this dark area and let the ink do its thing. If we feel like it, I could add some lemon or baking soda. Some nice little splashes here. So this is after doing so much controlled stuff. I've mentioned this in other classes and live streams, but I love the careful approach of building something up and the thoughtfulness you have when you're drawing with ink, and then just to start flooding areas, and maybe it splashes, maybe it drops on the page, and to just let go of that kind of control and, you know, bigger, instead of these little marks for the face, just to start letting the ink flow, and sometimes you get some really nice pooling and different shapes and stuff. It's fun. So I have baking soda with me. If I drop that into here, it will make it quite dark, which could be cool. Should I do it? Jump in, yeah. It's such a nice contrast to just start splashing around. I have an idea. The background is pretty dark too. This is like the darkest. I'm gonna kind of flood the background as well. And then I'll add some baking soda into the garment, and it will make it really dark. That'll be fun. Do it, do it. Got 8 minutes left. So yeah, after the, you know, you can really do something, you know, get bold in the final moments. You can maybe do something that you regret, but sometimes it can just be that moment where you push yourself to do something different, and something different happens, and it can be super rewarding. It could be the start of some new thing. It could be something you don't do again. So here I have my baking soda. So this is a pretty raw approach to adding modifiers. That's a cool thing with natural inks. You can shift the pH values by adding alkali or acid. So this is just normal baking soda from a supermarket. It's kind of turning green. And sometimes it may turn from green to a kind of black color. I have some lemon juice, which I could add to the background, which will push the pH value in the other direction, which would be a super interesting contrast. It's probably enough. This is just, it's kind of, if I get a brush, which I'm just going to use with this, make sure not to mix it with the other stuff, then can push this around a bit. I could just leave it. Maybe that's interesting like that. I'll just leave it. Here, we've got some lemon juice. Normally I'll just use a lemon, but we didn't have any. I've got some lemon juice. I'll just improvise, put some lemon juice into the lid of the baking soda, and get another brush, and put some lemon juice into the background here and see what happens. Whoa, look at that color. I love it. It's magic. It's so cool. And it's so interesting that, you know, these colors were locked within these almost black rose hips. I like it so much. So much fun. It's a lot of fun just to squeeze lemon juice onto the paper, and then you get these really cool, like, wild shapes and stuff. but you can also brush it on. That's cool. 5 minutes left. I'll stay on here a little bit longer. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if it's technical ink not problems, questions, ink stuff, or you want to hang out for a few minutes and talk about tarot or whatever, then I'll still be here. But now I've got 5 minutes. Make some good choices. What do I want to do? How is everyone else going? Everyone drawing along? It's nice how we release the baking soda and the lemon. Wow. It's so much fun. Wow, wow, wow. Yes, that's it. It's an extra layer of excitement and fun to the whole drawing process. Yeah, I'm glad you like it too. So some of these things, a very common question is, how light fast are these things? It totally varies, and there are different modifiers which have different effects. If you add iron to something, it will darken it and make it more light fast. This baking soda will probably change color over the course of the next few weeks, and I'm fine with that. I'm happy for things to change and transform, and just witnessing that transformation is part of the fun of working with these materials. I have my pointy little metal nib here, and to bring some more focus and attention back to the face, I'm going to, I can get finer detail with this and a bit more control than with the stick pens. And I have some Acorn ink here, which is my go-to dark ink. It's most of my natural ink portraits that I've done over the years have been with Acorn ink. Acorns are so abundant where I live, and I really enjoy working with that. Mandy asks, what's the time of the Tuesday class? What time? 7:30 German time, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. So the link will be in my Instagram stuff. Come and join us. It's so much fun. It'd be lovely to have you there. Modify on the fly. I do have some batches where I've like modified the whole jar of ink. I have a really nice avocado seed, and I added baking soda while boiling the avocado seeds. But I really enjoy modifying on the fly. It's a nice term. It's fun just to kind of push it around. And once you get to know the different materials, to have some understanding of what's going to happen when you add different things, and that can be a really fun part of creating a piece. So I don't know if you can see this with the same kind of clarity I can, but there's just like this crisp darkness. I can see it in higher focus than you can, I think. But just adding this touch of darkness to the drawing, I think really is nice. Just totally like bringing attention to this area, I think. And that's the thing, like light and darkness, so interesting. It's the way babies learn to see as well. You know, at first they can't distinguish different forms, but can recognize light and dark. And so it's the first thing we start to recognize. So the moments of high contrast that we have in our artwork or in life, I thrive on contrast, I think. But in a face, like they have the white of the eyes and the dark the black of the eyes, and these high contrast things really pull our focus and attention. And once you have an understanding of that, you can use it in your artwork to direct attention to particular areas, and maybe oh, that was cool. Just like the darkness bled up into that purple shape because it's still wet. Oh, and I just think there's so much. Oh, it's already time, but there's so much potential in these, like just with the modifiers and adding another ink, adding different things, and there's so many, I think, layers of interest for me personally in creating this, and the subject matter, the High Priestess, the inks that I'm using. It's just so much fun, and it's so much fun to share that with you. So it'd be nice to, take this. Oops, I dipped that into the wrong thing. Take this experimentation further with this piece and see the way that things bleed into each other. And it's interesting how all that speckledy green stuff has kind of become more homogeneous and spread out. Whoops, wobble. Hilda, yes. Grating avocado seeds is awesome because you can get this almost fluorescent peachy orange color. But if you boil them and add baking soda, you'll need more seeds, so start saving them. But if you take like 10 avocado seeds, I think I have this jar here, which is quite a lot. This is kind of a similar, no, it's different. This is more red, this color. Oops. More red than what I'm using today. But this is boiled avocado seed with baking soda in it. So yeah, you can do that. Yeah, from Janelle, magical. Thank you for sharing your magic with us. It's an honor to be able to co-create with you and all of you. So if you've been drawing along, you can tag me on Instagram at Dylan_Sara. Hashtag ink naturally, even if you didn't use natural inks, because this kind of is all happening under the umbrella of ink naturally. The course that I have, and if you would like to learn more about natural ink making, then you can take advantage of this awesome deal. You could perhaps sign up for Mike's class and my class and get 40% off with the code SAS40, which is probably either in the chat or underneath this video, the live stream. Take advantage of that, it'd be super cool. Come draw with us on Tuesday if you want. All that information will be in my Instagram. Always posting it in my stories and stuff. I would like to keep working on this, but I have tired children upstairs, so I guess it's time to stop. So this is where I'm at today. I feel like the likeness is a bit off, but it was lots of fun drawing together with you, and especially adding that lemon juice and baking soda. That was fun. Oh, Vin's here, cool, awesome, nice to have you here. And thank you, Janelle. Love and light to you. I look forward to connecting more. And as I mentioned before, for the Tuesday drawing sessions, I'm gonna cook up something cool and tarot-y with Janelle, and that's gonna be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be lovely to have some of you join us. Just checking, there were no other particular questions. Avocado seed. Yeah, cool. See you Tuesday, or see you next week, or see you in Mike's class. which is, I guess today was the unofficial start, right? But I'm looking forward to the first lesson tomorrow. Here's a good question. I'm going to do round robin. That's not something I've ever heard, but I guess that's the thing. We draw each other. I want to start an Australian friendly, not just Australia, but I'm from Australia, live in Germany. I'm going to start one for a different time zone, which is going to make more people be able to attend, I guess. So Asia, Australia, it will just open up to a different time zone. And for me, I was thinking maybe 10 o'clock in the morning my time on a Friday. But I'm moving house in a week and a bit. There's a lot going on at the moment, but it's something that's going to happen. So keep in touch, because it'd be fun to draw, open that up for people in different time zones as well, because it's just so much fun hanging out and drawing together. Yeah, all right. I look forward to seeing the work that you have done. And thank you once again to Janelle. Thank you, Sketchy. Thank you to all of you. Thanks for hanging out together. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing your work. Instagram, Sketchy, wherever you post it. Get in touch. I like to connect. So thank you very much. And take care of yourself and each other. And have fun creating. Bye-bye.